So you should, if you are investing into this fund, you should be really ready to drive the volatility. You should be able to withstand the. Hello everybody. अगर आप फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम चाहते हैं, अगर आप वेल्थ क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं, यू हैव कम टू द राइट प्लेस. आप सही जगह पे आए हैं. वेलकम टू फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम विद प्लैनेट वेल्थ यूट्यूब एंड पॉडकास्ट चैनल. आज की इस सेशन में हम एक और म्यूचुअल फंड इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए सही है कि नहीं, आपको उसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट करना चाहिए कि नहीं, इस पर्सपेक्टिव से एनालाइज करेंगे. मेरे एसेट टैक्स सेवर फंड के बारे में आज के इस वीडियो में हम बात करने वाले हैं. आई एम ब्रिजेश, father of two lovely kids, husband to a loving woman. I am an entrepreneur, now turned into a wealth coach, and I am on a mission to help 1 lakh families like yours to live a financially very free life and achieve financial freedom in your life. तो मेरे इसी मिशन के तहत ये जो इनिशिएटिव एजुकेशन इनिशिएटिव लिया है, तो एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत है. चलिए समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि मेरे एसेट टैक्स सेवर फंड आपके जैसे इन्वेस्टर के लिए क्या ऑफर कर रहा है और हाउ इट इज डूइंग, इसके बारे में आज के सेशन में बात करते हैं. तो इन्वेस्टमेंट स्ट्रेटेजी ऑफ द Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is with an investment objective of generating long-term capital appreciation from a diversified portfolio of predominantly equity and equity-related instruments. Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is mandated to hold at least 80% of its assets in equities. The fund has no bias towards any particular theme or investment style and holds well-diversified portfolio of strong growth companies available at reasonable price. So it follows GARP, growth at reasonable price strategy. Universe of stocks for the portfolio comprises majorly of companies that have robust business models, enjoy sustainable competitive advantages, and have high return ratios. Following a blend of top-down as well as bottoms-up approach of investing, fund manager broadly analyzes the macroeconomy and invests in stock of high-growth companies expected to benefit from macroeconomic and sectoral and industry trends. So basically, the fund manager is not wedded to any style of either top-down or bottom-up. Depending upon the situation, it also follows top-down and bottoms-up approach. And based on the macro analysis, the fund manager selects companies keeping with the macroeconomic, sectoral, and industry trends. When picking companies, the fund manager tests business on various quantitative and qualitative parameters and gives importance to return on capital employed, return on investments, growth, value, and management. He looks for growth businesses and within that looks for value, that is buy at a reasonable rate. The fund manager uses discounted cash flow mechanism to estimate their fair valuation level of stocks. The aim is to identify long-term investment opportunities in stocks of high-quality businesses available at reasonable price and follow the buy and hold investment strategy until its full potential is derived. So, GARP, top-down, bottoms-up, discounted cash flow, these all strategies are being practiced by the fund manager of the Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund as per the mandate of the fund. Now let's look at the ratios, return ratios, trailing return. So you can see that over a period of 5 year, 3 year, 1 year, you can see that it has always consistently beaten the ELSS category and this S&P BSE 500 total return index. So the benchmark of the fund is S&P BSE 500. So it has consistently beaten 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year, all the horizons, the benchmark as well as the category. Right? Let's look at the peer comparison once for other ELSS category versus the Mira Asset Tax Saver performance. So you can see that there are top 5 funds listed in this category. Mira Assets is doing fantastically over other same category of funds over a period of 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. So and at the same time, the expense ratio of the tax fund is one of the lowest amongst the category. So it's that way it is one of the consistently top performing fund. Now let's look at the risk ratios and analyze it with the performance of the fund. So these ratios are calculated on a daily returns of last 3 years, updated until 30th April 2021. Standard deviation, which is a indicator of the volatility of the fund. You can see that the category average of the ELSS category fund is 19.7. The volatility standard deviation is 19.07. As compared to the category, the standard deviation of Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is 21.16, which means the fund is more volatile as compared to category. So if you are investing into this fund, you should be really ready to drive the volatility. You should be able to withstand the volatility because it is more volatile than the category average. Let's look at the beta. Now, what is beta? Beta is also an indicator of volatility, right? So if we look at the beta as well, you can see that the ELSS category average is 0.85, the beta's average is 0.85, whereas the Mira Asset Tax Saver Funds beta is 0.98, which means the from the beta is also indication of high volatility. So standard deviation and beta both indicates that the fund will be relatively higher volatile, right? Now let's look at the Sharpe ratio, which is a better risk adjusted return, right? So there are three parameters for better risk adjusted return: Sharpe, Reynolds, and Jensen's alpha. Now let's look at the Sharpe ratio. Basically the ratio, the lower is the better, right? So we can look at here that higher is the better. So we can look here the Sharpe ratio of the Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is point average category average is 0.31, whereas the funds average is 0.62. The same way, Reynolds ratio, the category average is 0.07, whereas the Reynolds ratio of Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is 0.13, and Jensen's alpha category average is minus 0.35, whereas Jensen's alpha of Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is 4.26. So you can see that alpha is an indication of the fund's performance, better performance over and above the benchmark. सो अगर फंड बेंचमार्क से कितना अच्छा रिटर्न देता है उसके हिसाब से आपको इस फंड में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए. यू कैन सी दैट द alpha of the Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund is far better than the category average for the previous 3 years. So you can see that it is giving better risk adjusted return. At the same time, it is also, but at the same time, it is highly volatile. So you need to consider while investing into this fund of these parameters as well. Now let's look at the volatility as well. So here is the best and worst performance of the Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund. On a weekly basis, in the one of the best period was weekly basis pay, 24th March 2020 to 31st March 2020, when the fund has given 10.36% return on a weekly basis. And the worst scenario was during the 16th March 2020 to 23 March 2020, wherein within that week the fund has given minus 17.6% return. On a monthly basis, the base performance was during 23 March 2020 to 22 April 2020, wherein during that month the fund has returned 22.83%, and the worst performance month was 20th February 2020 to 23 March 2020, when the fund has given minus 36.88% return. On a quarterly basis, during the quarter of 23 March 2020 to 22nd June 2020, the fund has given 37.77% return. And worst quarterly performance was during 23 December 2019 to 23 March 2020, when the fund has given minus 30.77% of the return. On a yearly basis, the best period was 23 March 2020 to 23 March 2021, when the fund has returned 113.28% return. And the worst year was during 22nd March 2019 to 23 March 2020, when the fund had returned minus 28.79%. So this is the volatility which you need to understand. This kind of volatility should be expected. Now the portfolio. We discussed during the investment strategy of the fund, it has a mandate of 80%, at least 80% into equity. The fund holds 99.27% as on the 30th April 2021. 99.26%, 27% into the equity. It doesn't hold for F&O. Foreign equity is zero. So equity component is 99.27. Number of stocks is 64, whereas the category average is 47 stocks, which means it is more diversified than the category. Large cap investments are 57.11%, mid cap investments are 60.94%, and small cap investments are 9.7%, and others are 15.51%. The total number of stocks in the scheme is 64, and the category is having average of 46.8. Top 5 stock weightage is 30.91, which is slightly better than the category, higher than the category rather. The category average of top 5 is 29.7%, whereas the scheme is having 30.91%. Top 10, top 10 stock weightage is 44.41, which is lower than the category average, which is a good sign. Top 3 sector weightage is 43.4%, whereas the category average is 39.31%, which means is slightly more concentrated in terms of sector as compared to category. So this is the portfolio summary. Now what are the top 10 holding? So you can see that top 10 holding is into HDFC Bank, which is 8.29%, ICICI Bank, which is 7.12%, Infosys, which is 6.67%, Axis Bank is 4.87%, TCS 3.96%, SBI 3.28%, Bharti Airtel 3.2%, Maruti Suzuki 2.49%, Reliance Industries 2.23%, and Housing Development Finance Corporation, which is at HDFC, which is 2.21%. So as you can see, it's a mix of technology, finance, banking, at the same time manufacturing and auto. It's a mix of industries, and top performing industries are there in the top 10 stocks holding of the portfolio. Right now, हाउ दिस स्कीम इज सुटेबल टू यू, किसके लिए ये स्कीम सुटेबल है उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. तो मीरा एसेट टैक्स सेवर फंड हैज बिल्ट कमेंडेबल परफॉर्मेंस ट्रैक record for itself in a short span of around 5 years. So it's not a very old scheme, and that is one of the criteria when I recommend my clients about the mutual fund. I try to select a period of 10 years wherein once उसी पीरियड में एक मार्केट की गिरावट भी देखी हो फंड ने और मार्केट की चढ़ाई भी देखी हो, मतलब बुल एंड बेयर दोनों फेज देखे हो, वो फंड को मैं ज्यादा वेटेज देता हूँ. सो 5 साल इसकी पीरियड है उसमें. इसने डोमिनेटेड अपनी एलएसए स्पेस को डोमिनेट किया है फॉर क्वाइट सम टाइम. It's bet on fundamentally sound stock pick that the reasonable valuation has benefited the fund so far. So the fund belongs to a process driven that follows prudent investment approach. It does not resort to taking aggressive calls for extraordinary returns, but maintains a diversified portfolio of quality stocks with a long-term view. Its fund manager, Mr. Nilesh Surana, who has been managing the scheme since its inception, has done well to keep volatility at a reasonable level and thereby able to generate superior risk-adjusted returns. This makes the Mira Asset Tax Saver Fund suitable for investors looking for a growth-oriented fund in the ELSS space with a long-term view. So it is a more suitable for a growth-oriented investors जिनको लंबी अवधि में ELSS में इन्वेस्ट कर सके, टैक्स सेव करके साथ ही साथ में अच्छा ग्रोथ अचीव करना है, उनके लिए ये फंड मोर सुटेबल है. राइट. तो आई होप ये जो मेरे एसेट टैक्स सेवर की जो वीडियो है आज मैंने एनालिसिस करके आपके सामने दी है, वो आपको अच्छे से डिसीजन लेने में हेल्प करेगी कि वेदर यू शुड इन्वेस्ट इनटू द मेरे एसेट टैक्स सेवर और नॉट. आपको उसमें इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, उसमें आपको वो हेल्प करेगी. If you wanted to keep focus on keeping grow and growing your money, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell icon so that whenever I update a video, you will be receiving notification. You can also read my blog at planetwealth.in or view videos on the same site. You can also visit moneycraft.com for some bite-sized, excellent personal financial literacy, mutual fund literacy videos. You can also like my page Planet Wealth on the Facebook or become member of the Financial Wellbeing Group on Facebook. And the best way to keep connected with me and get this kind of valuable piece of information, you can save my WhatsApp number 9328190022 in your mobile with Planet Wealth as the, and then send मैसेज ऐड मी योर नेम करके आप मैसेज डाल दीजिए, सो दैट मैं आपकी नंबर को मेरे व्हाट्सएप के फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी ब्रॉडकास्ट ग्रुप में डाल दूं, सो दैट यू कैन कीप रिसीविंग दिस काइंड ऑफ वैल्यूएबल कंटेंट रेगुलरली. प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट आप मेरी नंबर को आप अपने मोबाइल में सेव करें, क्योंकि ब्रॉडकास्ट मैसेज अगर आप नंबर सेव नहीं करोगे तो आपको मिलने वाले नहीं है, दो आई विल बी ब्रॉडकास्टिंग, राइट? तो आई होप ये वीडियो आपको यूजफुल हो। मे गॉड शावर abundant wealth to you. May you achieve financial freedom in your life. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो और मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो। थैंक यू।